Yeah, you want it up?
Good. Yeah, 'cause sometimes when it's too high,
Hurts the.
it bothers the back of the knee.
Yeah.
I think so.
Great. I want to welcome everyone and introduce our panel. We have Jen Demings, Sherry Forsuli, Janice Chink, and Melanie Loskale. Wow.
Dawn, no.
Right. So I'm going to start with what specific skills or techniques from the session do you think will have the greatest impact on your success moving forward?
Okay.
Anyone, whoever feels like they want to answer it can raise their hand, go for it first.
I definitely say reminding ourselves to adjust the way that we think about things and the mindset that it is 96% of our success and we attract success. So it's important to be aware of that because you can have some really tough days in this business.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to remember that. That's the big thing. Over your experiences, you either earn or you learn. So one of the two. So don't be disappointed when you do have a bad day. That does happen, because as long as you learn from it. So mindset is big.
Yeah,
Sherry?
I'll echo that for sure. Whenever I come to a session like this, especially if I've been coming to the regularly, I've been coming to the business planning since I've been here, and I always get something out of it. Now, the planning stuff and the numbers, I kind of have that down now, but I don't really come for that anymore. I come for the mindset. I come for that reinvigoration into my business. And I felt like Glenn had done such a beautiful job of marrying information with mindset that I was like, okay, the problem was I was like, okay, let's go get this and this and this I have to finish doing today. And tomorrow I've got all the meetings and okay, but then the next day I'm really going to get on top of that thing I want to do. And I'm very excited for 2025, where coming into business planning yesterday, I was like, oh, all right, 2025, what's going on? What am I going to do? And it was a lot of question marks. After yesterday, I felt like I'm excited for 2025. My mindset's correct. And yeah, I'm eager to go. So it's probably the biggest shift for me coming out of it.
Need skills for you?
I think it was a good reminder because often when we come to training, it's like, okay, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do door knocking and you have to do cold calling and you have to, I love when Glenn comes because his whole philosophy is do what you're good at and do more of it.
Build it around your personality.
Yeah. And that was a good reminder, like, cause that's what I try to do. I don't cold call. I don't do door knocking unless there's a specific reason for door knocking.
Yeah.
And I'll do it, but it's not me. Right? That's not my personality. And so for me, it's do more of what love, more of what fills me up, that brings me joy, that gives me a passion, a fire in my belly. Like do that more. It's always a good reminder when I listen to him.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with everything that's already been said. And I think for me personally, it was really nice to see because I love business planning. Like I love the whole concept of it. I think it's really important. I know I really do enjoy it. And I like the numbers end of it as well. And I've always been like that. One of the things Ryan and I were chatting about yesterday, but my team we had our business planning meeting and talking about goals already like a month ago. So we don't wait till the end of the year. We start talking about it. Even we do review it throughout the year, but come September, October, we're sitting down and really actually having more conversation about what does the following year look like? What's everybody's goals? And everybody has different goals. But as the team lead, I like to be able to figure out, okay, how am I going to help my team meet their goal? Because I feel like that's my responsibility. I don't think it's all on them. And that's the reason why they're on a team. So we can, work together and we can do things to help each other get to that end goal, because when they're successful, I'm also successful. And it's good to see, other people meet their goals. Right. It's
Fun to celebrate people.
yeah, it is. And even if you don't actually meet that exact goal, it's still okay because you can feel confident that you stayed focused and, tried your best. But one of the things from yesterday that I was actually really excited about was there's probably 4 things that he talked about that I was like, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Cause I had already discussed it with my team and we'd already reviewed it and, I'm like, okay, so I think the reiteration of what I'm
Mhm.
doing, and I'm certainly not perfect by any means. I know there's always.
It's nice to have that.
It was good. Like
Reassurance.
afterwards, I was like, okay, like I was saying to everybody else, I'm like, okay, see, like what I was saying we should be doing, I think we're gonna do it. It's gonna work well. And so that was,
It was very uplifting,
Affirmations.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He is, and he's not like, he's not a wild
No.
top guy either, like he's, keeps it.
I
even
really
keel,
thought it would
but-
be about numbers, like that drives me
Yeah.
right out, like I just
No,
drive through business, I don't look at the numbers like I should, I
and
just
he had
go.
lots of slides too,
Yeah.
but still, he made it very impactful to, educate us and keep it interesting, and he didn't lay into them over like a long time.
And what other role, what other job is out there where you can do more of what you like and get business?
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Like how fortunate are we to be able to be in this position where we do more of what we enjoy and we get business? That blows my mind.
Yeah.
And love that. Yeah.
All right, well, did you learn anything new about yourself as a professional after attending the training?
Because we're hard on ourselves. I don't know. We're hardest on
Yeah, you
ourselves.
were.
I am
Yeah.
hard on myself. And so I realized that I was excited. Like you gotta take time to celebrate these things. You can almost get emotional because that's how quick it can happen.
Mm.
So kind of going through the levels of freedom, right? And figuring out I'm actually maybe not at the first level. How did I get to that second one? Well, that's exciting. No, so you gotta celebrate the little things. And it made me realize again, this is going year 4. I thought it was 3.
Yeah.
So it's taken time to stop
Yeah.
taking these things and you actually do fit somewhere and it's not at the start anymore.
You're
Kinda
not a
nice.
newbie anymore.
Right? And it does take
And
work.
that's a hard one to get past, I know.
It's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big.
Actually had that exact conversation
Right?
with Melissa after the session. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm actually at this different point now than I thought I was at. Cause I kept kind of reading,
Hard
I'm
on
like,
ourselves.
oh no, hang on a second. No, I've done, okay, I am there. Have done that. So yeah, there were a lot of realizations there, which was really, really impactful. The whole process of it was really, really impactful from beginning to end. Now, I do love the numbers. You were a little
Yeah.
late, so you missed that part. So
Yeah.
that probably
On
helped you
purpose.
to not be here.
I called it my leg, but
So for me, I actually enjoyed getting that economic forecast and understanding the data behind the stories that we bring to our clients and being able to distill that to its simplest form. So those folks who are like Jen, who are like, oh, I glazed over. What were you saying? When as soon as the numbers come out, can still get the information and potentially their partners or other clients who are really drilled into the numbers and feel like they want to sense the market and see that backup of data. And I appreciate that marriage of the two things. And having somebody like Glenn, I was saying to somebody yesterday, I think it was you, Mel. I said, I wish he had been teaching my economics in university because I would have paid it more attention. Because he's so charismatic with his delivery and he makes it something that anybody can understand. And he really distills it in a way that you just kind of go, here's bottom line that you need to convey to your client. If this happens, that will happen. So your belief system that you're going to wait till the rates come down and inflation and all those key elements to that conversation, you now have the data to support the conversation that you're going to have instead of looking like that realtor that just wants to get in and get their listing or get them to buy something so you make money. It's like, no, I'm actually looking after you in this moment. You're not recognizing it. So here's the data to support what I'm saying. That 18-year economic trend, is that what it was called?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what? Like, holy cow. And of course, I'm very, so it's exactly 18 years. No, Sherry, it's 15 and 19. Oh, okay. I'll settle down. I was very excited about that and being able to pair those together was tremendous. The data to support the story, which I think what we do best is tell stories and help people understand why this is their move, their decision, why the data supports that.
So,
I think for me, it was the conversation that I had with Glenn after. Just sitting and chatting with him because the end of it was with niche markets and where do we want to focus for 2025 and what does that look like and how do you set goals? And So having that conversation with him was really helpful. Like he just has a really great way of asking the right questions.
And actually, I'll tag on to that too, because I think that when you're thinking about that and thinking about your niche market, I think it's really important to talk to someone else, because
Mhm.
I had a conversation with someone else this morning who was like, I don't even know what to do. And then I started asking the questions. And then by the end of our conversation, I'm like, okay, so we know this is the neighborhood that you need to go into. This is who you're, so if you don't have all the answers yourself, I think talking to a friend or another agent in our office.
Yeah. It's
To
just
have that
bouncing
dialogue.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that chart that we all like read.
Oh, yeah.
And then
that
you
chart was
scored
good.
yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that just going through that, if you really took the time to read everything and
Yeah.
be honest, because anyone can come up with a number.
Right.
So it's about being honest with yourself and what does that really look like? It's probably telling you things that you already know, but you're literally just looking at it on paper. And for me, I was like, okay, these are my opportunities to improve. I would like my number to be higher than what it was, right? So it's,
And I think if
it's
you,
an honest exercise.
yes, and I think if you
That's
do
great.
that separate on your own,
Mhm.
rather than in a room full
Yeah.
of realtors that can tend to be competitive.
No.
What if
There's a
somebody sees my numbers?
Yeah.
What if somebody's looking at what I'm doing? We being 100% honest with ourselves when we're in a group that's surrounded. And would it be different if we did it at home or in our office? And just get, and to really self-reflect on that. Like, I think that's really good tool for us then to be able to go into 2025 saying, what do we want to do? What do I want to do? And what's going to be best for my business and personally too? Because a lot of that
Oh, yeah.
overflows.
100%.
And I'll just tag on again to Sherry's comment about information, and information is knowledge, and knowledge is power, right? So if we think about that whole thing, I think it's fantastic that he took economics and really gave us a dumbed down quick version of it, but we all understood it. We all know what it's all about. So then my thought was like, okay, well, how are we as professionals tapping into that kind of information on a regular basis? And how are we figuring out, how are we pulling that information from maybe a listing appointment that we're going to? And how are we, pulling that information and being able to present it? Because it's going to be different if you're just looking at a certain neighborhood as opposed to the country. Like, I don't want to say who cares what's
Yeah.
going on in the country, but really, that's not what our people want to hear. What our clients want to hear is what's happening on my street.
Right.
What's my neighborhood? What's,
Yeah.
what's happening in the neighborhood that I want to move to? So, I think it's encouraging, and maybe that's a whole nother conversation where we're like, okay, how are we pulling this information? What are the most common avenues that we use? The NSAR website or the quick stats, or like what are the tools that everyone's using and how are we implementing it?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Would you like to set it up? Like, that's the education committee chair. Would you put you on?
Sure.
Sure.
Love that.
I think that is something though in our education community that should be being implemented, is more about how to really zone in and teach our agents on the stats on how to pull them better, and really do some practicing with it, because it's one thing you're shown once. It's another thing than if it becomes a repetitive thing. So and I think with our tech too, I think there's some, I know that's
There's definitely some integrations that can be happening.
Yeah, I
there
think we
for
need to.
2025,
Well, I mean,
so.
we could even invite an SAR.
right. Yeah.
Let's say,
Which is huge.
what could we, how can we access
Yes.
the resources that you have for us?
How do we do
There
it?
might even be some people that don't actually even use it.
Or don't know what's there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
They might not
Or
even.
don't have like what,
Yeah.
what are the resources?
How do we make it accessible for those folks who see numbers and literally their eyes just go? How do we say,
The
here's some,
benefit of it.
right, like how can we make it
I gloss over numbers.
accessible
too.
in a way that they're like, I'm comfortable with that?
Like, I'm a numbers and stat person, even though my personality, you wouldn't think I am, but I love. So like, give me graphs.
I know.
Numbers, like, I love stats.
Gets
It was
really
one of my
excited.
favorite courses in
That's great.
school, and I just all we have is stats, like our whole business stat. We have to figure out how to use them.
How to educate our clients about the numbers in a way that they understand them.
And everyone's gonna be different. You gotta start with yourself, because if you don't understand it, how are you gonna explain it to someone else?
100%.
100%.
That works into our next question. What aspect of the training session pushed you outside of your comfort zone? Anything there that sort of, okay, I'm gonna do.
Yeah, to double my goal,
Ah.
I think I always just try to do the stretch target. But it just go and I just, wherever I end up, I just. So now it's like maybe more the numbers.
Yeah.
Right, because I get the other stuff, like I really feel like control the controllables. I try to have a positive mindset, but it is the number side of things. So there's an opportunity for me, right? So doubling and not to be afraid to celebrate, to try things. And then you can backpedal and say, where was my gap? What could I have done differently? So it's no loss, but challenge people to double it and tell a friend and be accountable for it. So that's something, for me to look more at the numbers.
So I did have that moment when it was like, and think about your number for 2025. And I was like, and here's my stretch target. I'm
Yeah.
gonna lay it out on the piece of paper
Yeah.
and double it. I was
Right.
like,
Because we always did.
But that's,
stretch
you know,
targets.
your goal's big enough, but it takes your breath away
Yeah.
and it scares the crap out of you.
Yeah.
You're in the right spot.
yeah,
Comfortable with
Yeah.
the-
yeah.
Get comfortable
So,
with that.
Yeah, that definitely pulled me out of comfort
Me too.
in that moment. And then when we jumped into the spreadsheet, brought me peace
You like that?
into the spreadsheet.
So give you some calm.
I did, and I shared my spreadsheet with Melanie. She's like, where did you get this? I can't get mine. I can't make it look. I was like, that's mine. I just do that one.
I have a hard time.
Me
So
too.
if I'm working backwards,
Me too.
I mean, I have less trouble giving stats to clients and going through those kinds of numbers, but my own numbers and
challenge.
figuring that stuff out and
Me too.
the formula to it, to me, it's difficult.
Can be very, very confusing. So, and I'm happy to share the spreadsheet I created, but I just need to figure out how to protect it first. So you can't change it from dollars to percentages and get all messed up. So I'll protect it and then I'll share it.
Teach it a little. Maybe get a little
Well, based on what I'll be doing next year, probably that is gonna be part of that.
one.
That's great.
Yes.
Love that.
Erin might be able to help you with the spreadsheet. She's
Cool.
she's a spreadsheet
Queen.
queen. She has a spreadsheet for everything.
Yes, well, because, yeah, because her and I are like
Cool.
soul twins when it
Yeah.
comes to that sort of thing. So, but I don't have my phone.
It's
It's my ring, but it's not my phone.
it's my tire rotation. Sorry.
Your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Janice's phone.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I still.
Janice, what about you? Aspects that you take training. Sure, it's out if you're comfortable. Go ahead.
It's the double the goal again.
Yeah.
Like you have a big goal and you go, okay, yeah, I can do that. But again, it goes back to that pushing, like, yeah, I think I can do that. Then I write down the goal and I know he's gonna say, now double it. And in my mind, I kind of go, oh, lower goal.
Yes,
You're right. Yes, of not wanting to not be able to.
To achieve it.
to achieve it.
Yeah. So it's always that for me when we do business planning. It's always be honest with yourself. What's a comfortable goal? What do you think you can reach? And knowing that they're gonna say, okay, no, double it. There's never a surprise when you do business planning, right? You know, they're gonna say, okay, no, double your goal. But looking at it and going, okay, so that's what I did this year. That's what I did the year before last year.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, yeah, you can continue to build momentum and continue to grow. But to double that, wow.
But not to be afraid, not to be afraid to do it.
Make it,
But if you don't make it, you
Yeah,
stretch
you-
yourself.
you've exceeded
Mm.
the half, right? So even if you didn't make it, you were better off than the other goal you chose anyway.
Well, that's
That's
what I was
right.
gonna
And
say,
Glenn
Helen.
called it gratitude. and I
Yeah,
love
It's
that.
true.
It's gratitude in the gap,
Yeah.
right? And it's saying, okay, so I learned a lot about myself in trying to achieve that. I maybe tried new things. I built new relationships. Challenge yourself. We never lose when we challenge ourselves.
Right.
Right? You're always winning. You're always becoming better. You're always, taking steps ahead.
That's good than built with comfort.
No,
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
And if
No pressure, no diamonds.
Melanie.
That was what.
Okay, I'm gonna say something really weird.
Okay. Go for it.
To the warning.
What made me feel the most uncomfortable is when he said you should be taking vacation every 3 months.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to, like, how on earth can I make that happen? And it's not about money, it's about time.
Yes.
And it is true that as soon as you get to the airport, I can't remember the last time I wasn't writing an offer or answering the phone, doing something at the airport. We all know that happens.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because then I went out for dinner with my hubby night and I was telling him about it because he wanted to know all about what we did during the day. Quite fascinated with us realtors. And I was telling him about it and I was telling him about the vacation thing because that was just something that really stuck
Sure.
in my head. Because to me, it was like an impossibility, right? So I tried to explain it the best way I could. He's like, we can't do that. We can't do that. Like, I think he thought that I was actually gonna start booking vacations.
Yeah, we laugh now, maybe not.
Right, she won't if you say that.
And I said, and it's not for a week.
Go for it.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And then I thought he was gonna have a heart attack. I was like, okay, we gotta stop talking about this. But that was like something that, like, that really,
I love that.
it made me inside go, oh my God, how would that even happen? So maybe that should be a new goal.
Yeah.
Funny to know, my thought was,
Yes.
got a backup plan. Like, oh my, that last year, that would have done the same thing. Any other year that would have done. I'm like, but when you've got someone in that honestly you can trust that you know that can mirror your business and how you would run it.
Yeah.
There is a possibility that
Have
you
to.
can actually do something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
100%.
See, that excites me.
Oh, it excites me too. Trust me. I love traveling. I do really enjoy that.
It's the details.
But it's when you're in a similar situation, like our hubbies are in that type of business. So it's very difficult, more difficult for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always gonna go, I go away without him. I'm gonna be honest, I do. But it'd be nice. Yeah. There's my work husband right there. We travel. But you know, it would, of course I want to do it with him. So it's like, okay, how do I get him a little bit more comfortable on that end of his end of the business and what can we do a little bit differently?
how long will he go away for and how many times a year does he go nowheres?
No, we do. And the most, we usually go away in October for 2 weeks at a time. So that's tipping point.
But him to figure out how he get another 2 weeks. Just
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a week,
Yeah.
but but you know, Glenn was right, like. We all know that when you go away for a week, the first 2 days, you're still in
Right.
work mode, you're
Yeah,
slowing down.
you got
The
to
next
do
2
that.
days, you actually enjoy yourself. The
Yeah.
next 2 days after that,
You're
you're
ramping
ramping
up.
back up.
Yeah.
And then you're home. And that's my life. It is our life together when we go away.
Well, that's what you learn.
We go away like for 1 week vacation, but we really only have 2 days.
Yeah.
And the challenge is that for us, we work 7 days a week.
Mhm.
And the only time we actually get a break is when we actually leave the country.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's really important for us to. So that is the moment of yesterday that actually gave me the most.
So imagine if you
feeling.
didn't take part in that. You'd be changing, a whole life-changing thing, because
Yeah,
you'll be able to have more time with people that you love.
That's what I say,
Yeah.
try and push that, get yourself at least.
You definitely
1 year,
should.
not 4, obviously. but
Definitely
you can
should.
have 2 more weeks, 6 months from there and make that
You really
goal
should.
for you.
yeah.
Well, no, but you gotta double your goals. So
So that's
you
double.
still
do.
make it 4.
Yeah.
Right. I can see your accountability coach.
So,
She changed. Right. Were there any strategies discussed in the session that you're already eager to try out and out in your next listing or sale? Or anything that he kind of brought to you that, try this or say this or?
I liked some of the talk tracks he had, like the one-liners, like the one that he says, somebody asks, you know, how's business? Not to be like, well, it depends where you live. It depends. Actually, you know what? Really great. Let me tell you about a story that just happened there last week about a family. Change it up.
Yeah, change it up.
Change it up. People don't want to hear the same stories.
Yeah.
Know what it's like, or they think they know and they know anyway, right? A lot of times they figure that they know anyway.
This is
Why do you ask has been my response lately, and that opens
That's
up a
good.
lot.
Why do you ask? Because
Why?
honestly, yes. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
It's a good idea.
But he said not to do that.
Did he?
Well, I'll
Yeah.
tell you, when you say it, you get a lot of answers that you're looking for.
Yeah,
Just
like,
sit there and
because
listen.
they're interested for
Yeah.
some reason,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
It's a
There's
Todd
also
story.
another way to kind of say the same thing, but kind of turn that and say, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. Is there a particular reason why you're asking?
Yep.
And then they can go, well, because I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. And then you can go into the
Yeah,
story.
true.
Because
Yeah.
he had shared this great story of
Yeah.
saying, I saw it was a couple and they obviously had a child. And he was able to say, I was able to help this couple. This is what they did. And we got them placed in a school system where the kids needed to go to school and it was beautiful. And we got to do this for them and that for them. It was a wonderful story. We kind of connected with the audience.
Mhm.
But sometimes that doesn't work. If you're in a group, we're like, so tell me about the market. And you're like, okay, there's like everybody from every demographic is right here. How do I field that? So then I think that, why do you want to know? Or what's going on for you? Or
Or you could say something shocking like, well, Remax just went under. Make a joke out of it. I don't know, like, good. Get the conversation going.
She like, let's give her.
Just writing it down.
I really love the video. So he suggested, like he's talking about his mechanic doing the video diagnostic of what they had done on the
Yes,
vehicle.
yes.
I love the idea of saying,
Too.
hey, just a quick update on blah, 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 just
Yeah.
to let you know, this is what's going on, this is the feedback, or whatever
That's
that
pretty awesome.
situation is. It's a more tactile
Yeah.
approach to
I
sending a
mean,
text.
instead of just sending the text, hey, I just sent this, you can say, hey, just want to let you know, for your conditions, I've sent this off to your lawyer, your lender, da, 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 da. It's kind of more of a contact.
Visual.
So the amendment you signed earlier has come back. I'm gonna get you a copy and I'm gonna send it, like.
Yeah, they've accepted this last amendment.
Any
Now,
kind of-
your 408 's coming.
Yeah, that
That's
was,
nice.
Yeah.
that face to
Separating
face,
yourself.
and I'm trying to find ways in my business, Jen knows this, I'm trying to find ways in my business to actually put my face in front of more of what I'm doing.
People
Yeah,
love
you
you.
do.
Right?
People
Yeah, I
love
know,
seeing
I
you
know.
do anything.
It's-
Be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be different like everybody else, is what I feel like it's gonna end up happening.
No,
Yeah,
because
but
you're
Sherry.
you.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
However,
That's good.
I just need to get in front of it. So I think that doing it, it almost feels like I'm sliding to somebody's DMs, right? Like it's a private message. I'm kind of sending it just to them. It helps me get comfortable. I know, Shelley, we talked about it too.
Shelley's amazing at
Oh,
video.
yes, do it. Please, yes.
Be different.
Yeah.
in Somebody's face. You're a cooker, right?
Yeah,
Well, cooking,
we talked about that.
have steam in front of your face, have the turkey that have his hands in it, all the sauces that you're stuffing. And then it's
Start with the sausage.
I'm starting to feel like a fans only kind of thing.
side hustle.
We're getting lots of viewings.
The real estate message and
Big vibe.
Tell you, I've
I know.
like really great success with my videos. And my videos, if you notice, they're not
Start
really
with-
about real estate. They're about the
Area.
things that I'm doing and what I'm up to. And then
Love-
sometimes like being able to throw something in there about real estate actually happens to fit. And I'll be like, I want to talk to you about that too, but this is actually what I'm doing the video about, right?
It matters.
And
Which is awesome.
yeah, and I found because like to do them about real estate, I'm like, nobody even really cares about this stuff. And like, so I'm doing these things and I didn't feel like I was in love with the content. It wasn't vibing with me. But yet like making this move into Kings Wharf and experiencing downtown Dartmouth and condo living and having my bike stolen and whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like I just started doing all of the things that was happening. And I found that this year, I've been very busy this time of the year because I don't normally work the summers. So, when they say to make a goal, I made a goal 4 years ago not to work the summers. And for the most part, I don't. Like if somebody calls me to list their house, you're darn right, I'm going, right? But that was one of the things that I did. So then I started doing these videos and that was happening over the summer and my business is crazy right now. And I attribute it to the videos. It's
Social
not-
media, that's the big change for you.
that's the
right?
big change.
That's
It
the
has
thing
to
that
be,
you-
right?
No, videos are so.
Yeah, was there anything, okay, discussed in the session that you're already eager to try out this listing or sale?
Would say it's spoken to me as
Yep,
well.
kind of do that. I know that touched.
Because it's, because I think lots of people do videos about real estate. What's the market doing? What's happening? That doesn't set you apart. So I've always fought against that because it's kind of what's expected. with,
Yeah.
with some of that, so.
Shocked at what you're saying.
So I've kind of fought against doing that, but doing the videos of, you know, you send a text like, okay, we just sent the amendment through, I'll let you know. We send a text about that.
Yeah.
Send a quick little video, hey, I just want to let you know the amendment sent through. You'll hear back within the next hour, keep you posted. It's
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
It takes me
Probably
almost
faster.
the same
Just
amount of
like
time.
faster than seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also voice text almost everything.
me too.
That's nice
And
too.
anybody around me, like.
That is
I'm gonna
nice.
be like, how do you do that? I'm like, because it takes so much time to do this, right?
Yeah,
So
I
for
could
me,
be
it's
doing
just adding
something
my
else
adding my
while I'm
face. Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have, when he was talking about, you know, canvassing the neighborhood, if you have a listing coming and doing a VIP, I've done that in the past.
Yeah.
And it's always been really successful,
Mm.
but what ends up happening is you get too busy, you don't get your stuff printed in time, you're rushing to get the listing done. You tend to be so focused on actually just getting everything done that time's flown by and it's coming to market and you haven't planned that. So I think I want to be, I know I want to be more vigilant at that, but also to second that, one of the things I talk about with my team is us doing that as a group so that it doesn't seem so daunting. So if, you know, let's say Patty has a listing coming, we show up as a team to support her and we go on the street.
Yeah, I like that.
We knock on the doors or leave the door hangers or send the invites out and we can have like, instead of one person doing it, because one person can take like hours to get that done, that if all of us go to support each other, then we're, you know, done in 20 minutes and we've actually accomplished.
Yeah.
Like, we're
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
the hands.
I've seen that happen like in new construction. Happens more than I thought. Like resale. So if you go to like open houses for new constructions, their whole team's there. The designer and then the build, like it, and everyone's there, and it's a really nice feel.
Yes.
That,
This is more about though, what I'm referring to is canvassing the neighborhood.
oh, okay.
So that you're then letting them know a property's coming on the market, or you're inviting them to a pre-open house before it goes on MLS, that type of stuff.
And it helps with accountability, and it helps with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love,
Yeah,
that we have
doing it
enough
together
runway
would
to
be better.
actually do it. That's been the challenge up until now is that's like, yeah, it won't be on the market. Can we do this next week? It's like,
Well, that's always like,
Yeah.
I don't know about everybody else, but I always feel like doesn't matter where the listing is or what, it's like, it's always, like, you never have 3 months. to plan the perfect
Wait,
day. Like, it's like people make a decision and they
That's
wanna
it.
get going and.
Yeah, how
then
soon
you're-
can we be on?
Then you're like, okay, usually the holdup is the photographers, cause they're booked 2 weeks out, you know, like, so I think just. Kind of figure out that, so that, again, one of the things for timing could be my group supporting each other.
Again, it's adding
That's what
value,
we're gonna do.
adding value to the client experience. It's that,
Yeah, well, that's a big value.
right? That's a huge value. The independent people, we still could, because we get other independent people to join us, but I'm saying that is a way of adding value and saying, you know, we could list your house in 5 days, or we could list it in a week and a half. And here's the benefit you get. We're able to do this properly.
But if each of the individual agents.
Yeah.
Or if there's a group of them.
That's
and
amazing, yeah.
Say you have 6 listings coming in
Yeah.
6 months. You
And
each
do it
have
for each
that,
other.
and you
Love it.
commit to do it, and there's
Yeah.
3 or
I
4
love
of
it.
you doing it.
Right?
All of a sudden, it's really easy and manageable
Yeah.
because you know it's gonna cut your time
Right.
commitment
Mhm.
to a fraction of
Right.
what it would
And
have if you're doing it
delivering.
by yourself.
Yeah, it might be an hour instead of a whole lot.
Doing that part instead of.
Yeah.
Instead of doing everything, you each have your one task, and that one task can be done so much better than if you did each individual task.
And if you think about it, if you're successful and you're getting really good feedback, then probably the people that are helping you should come to the open house that you have, so that you have more than
Opportunity for leads.
one agent
Opportunity
there.
for leads.
Yeah.
Make sure you
Or
do
five.
your amendment.
What mindset shifts did you experience during the session that might change how you handle setbacks or challenges in the future?
So I have a tire rotation in 5 minutes in Dartmouth.
Go, girl, go.
So I have to run.
Wow, you're
Okay.
late.
I'm not gonna run.
Good luck, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I got my phone back here. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you for participating. Okay, ladies, what mindset shifts you experienced during the session that might change how you handle your setbacks or your challenges in the future?
I think actually I said at the top of the hour when we first started, is that going into this, I was like, oof, 2025, because I felt like I have had a really good year so far. It's been a good year.
Yeah.
So going into 2025, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I?
Keep that momentum.
Yeah, how do I keep the momentum? How do I get to that other goal I have before I knew I was doubling it? Then like, how do I do that? But in all honesty, again, like I was saying at the beginning, that was a shift for me because the numbers are the numbers for business planning, but coming in and having that mind shift to say, okay, and I think they had done like 36, 64, 84, like all the numbers of when you get to this point, do this, when you get to that point, do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, all right, that's good. Although I feel like, ooh, I'm doing a lot, I'm still at the beginning portion of that spectrum of where I could potentially go. And it's all still quite manageable. And
That's good.
a year ago, only 2 years ago, but a year ago, if somebody said I'd be handling this many transactions at one time, I was like, I don't even know how to walk and chew gum. Like, what do you mean? I'm gonna handle this many transactions, but I am. So going into 2025 with those goals, Glenn was able to kind of take me very gently, it felt, through that process. And now 2025, I'm kind of energized for the idea of saying,
This is what we want.
okay, I need this many buyers and this many sellers each month and for things to close. And in that, I was like, I can do that now. And I feel like I can do that now, where coming into the session yesterday, I really wasn't that confident that that was something that I could do.
Or know that it's something you could do.
Right. So even with the setbacks, I'm like, that's okay. Cause he actually, he said a couple things to me that kind of hit and I was like, oh, anytime I'd heard somebody talk about niche markets, it was like, oh, I don't want to just be in that. But he's like, niche markets are going to be 10% of your business. I'm like, I didn't know it was 10. I thought it was like 50.
Focused on it a whole lot sooner, right?
Right. I was like, it was only 10. I would have been like, okay, because I thought that had to be the market. I'm like, okay, if I'm doing seniors, I can't have all seniors. I can't do that. Right. It's really sad. So I was like, I can't do that. But I didn't realize that it was a 10% thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was like, oh, okay, that's manageable. And now I don't have to worry about, like, there doesn't feel like there's a downside. Yeah. I'm not worrying about any downside because we have fluctuations in our business. I had all that. I did 4 deals in my first year. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like anything after that, I was like feeling pretty scrawny after the first year as far as my numbers went, but it's been pretty fabulous since then. No downside.
Melanie?
Good question.
What mindset shifts did you experience during the session that might change how you would handle the setbacks or challenges in the future? What awakening did you basically have? Would help in maybe some of the struggles? Janice?
The only thing I can think of is being in my calendar. Monthly review.
Yeah, that's a
Monthly
great
of
one. Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
numbers. Because I start with great intentions and I review and
Yep.
I'm like, okay. To do a quarterly review is great. But then if I'm already behind, then I'm 3 months behind.
Right, versus the.
But if I do it on a monthly review, then it's easier to catch up. It's easier to reevaluate and make changes and adjust and pivot and do whatever I need to do. Get that double goal.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm gonna try to do this
Yeah.
year. Put in the calendar and stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's honoring it, you're right.
Yeah, it really is. And it's accountability to myself, my team. To be able to say, yeah, that's
James, do you have any questions or anything for us? Or any comments? You can unmute if you want to. Good night. Does anyone else have anything else they want to say or? Did we cover it all?
the training was fantastic.
Yeah,
It was great to have him here. It was really good to have him here.
I loved how he distilled the niche market. So if you swing out with a niche, like mention a niche market, he's like, okay, so you know what's gonna be important to them, and he sort of like,
Knowing why it's important.
Yeah.
in each.
it's like, okay, that's really interesting. And then he might have said something that I hadn't considered as part of that market. Or the fact, like I talked to him about the senior market because I seem to have pulled in a handful of seniors and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to help them, but my heart breaks and I get crushes on seniors really hard. Like I have a hard time seniors because I feel so connected to them. But then I'm completely heartbroken and I'm overwhelmed with everything they're going through. I find it difficult and challenging. And he's like, yeah, not your market. And I was like, okay, so why do you say that? And he's like, because they're going to pull energy from you. You need to be in a market that's going to give you energy. So wherever you get your energy,
Compelling.
he's like, so what groups give you energy? And I started to list off what it was. And he goes, so you're looking for you. And I was like, oh, that feels very self-involved. And he's like, no, but you want somebody that has these attributes because that feeds your soul. So find those people, you'll find your niche.
That's great.
I'm
And
like,
it's okay to change your niche
Yes.
partway through, right? Like,
I used
It
it
doesn't-
for divorcees, honestly, women, right? 'Cause that's how I kind of came into the business. I was divorcing, so I had a good, and I still do, but I mean, it's just not, so there's not a lot of people right now divorcing that I know, so it's great. But yeah, you gotta be relatable, I guess, too. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Patricia and James, for being online. Thank you.
So
And we'll see you next month. Today. You, everybody.
you.